Tank Davis, Lamont Roach, looks like they're signed.
See, we go from Benavidez versus Morrell to Tank versus Roach. Come on.
not feeling the
Not
Roach
even-
and Tank
come on.
fight.
Yeah,
not even
that's-
in the same breath, huh?
Not even.
Underwhelming fight for Tank, you think?
Yeah, well, Tank is doing, he sells a lot. He does really good on the gates. His numbers are not bad. He's a very talented fighter. I like watching his fights. I like watching because you never know when he's going to do it. He could take 6 rounds off, but then in the 7th, he takes care of business. That's how good he is. But I would love to see him fight a little better challenges.
And lastly, news that was it was a headline earlier in the year, the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight. Looks like a couple weeks ago, Devin Haney actually filed an actual lawsuit against Ryan Garcia. What do you think about that? Have you ever heard anything like that of a guy?
Never have. I believe there's been occasions where the a fighter that loses maybe punches his opponent after the decision or something, and maybe he'll get in trouble, but not the way it happened with Ryan and Haney. I really don't know why Haney made that decision, but if it works for him, it might change. It might change a lot in boxing. A lot of fighters are really gonna question, doing things that they're not supposed to. He did test positive, so Haney also has the right to make that decision. Would I advise any of my fighters to do it? Probably not. Maybe just get a rematch and get even and try to beat him the right way. But he also has a case. I'm not saying he doesn't. He also has a case. Ryan did test positive, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how everything turns out. I would rather see the rematch. I'd rather see another fight.
I was going to say, do you think that this is the beginning of the buildup of probably what may be the biggest rematch in boxing in the last 15 years?
It could be, and it seems like it's getting everybody's attention. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the lawsuit. Everybody's talking about Ryan. So it could be.
Coach Garcia, huge weekend for boxing, undisputed light heavyweight championship, Beterbiev majority decision over Beterbiev Bivol. What did you think about the fight?
It was huge. Everybody, all the boxing world was tuned in because it was one of those fights where the whole boxing world was waiting for, and we all did whatever it took to watch it. It was a great fight. I think it was more technical than what we expected, or at least what I expected. I thought it was going to be more of a war, where back and forth, maybe a knockdown, maybe even a knockout. But it was a very technical fight. I think the fight was very close. I thought, me personally, I haven't watched this the second time, but watching it, I thought Bivol pulled it off. But I'm not mad either. I'm not claiming robbery because the fight was so close. It could have gone either way.
I myself did a second watch. Had to do a second watch. Kind of all the thrills and everything. You just kind of wanted to shake it off. No sound. One thing that stuck out to me, Coach, was the movement of Bivol. Though he was moving around the ring and around the ropes, when Beterbiev was able to catch up with him, when he did catch up with him, 5, 6, 7 punch combinations.
Correct.
Just overwhelming him almost with punches.
No, and I think it was especially the last 3 rounds. The last 2 rounds were probably what made the big difference. What made the difference, because the fight was very close, but I think the last 3 rounds were all Beterbiev, and he did, just like you were saying, those combinations, just kept throwing, and Bivol focused too much on blocking and moving around. So I think those last rounds could have made the difference. Like, it was still a close fight. One judge had it a draw. A lot of people are thinking like me that we all thought Bivol pulled it off, but the fight was close. The fight was good.
And I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people I've been hearing here in the gym with the fighters today, over the weekend, people talking about, well, he blocked a lot of those punches, but the punches that were blocked, some of them still look like they hurt.
Yeah. See, when you're blocking, a lot of judges do judge, that, the aggressor or the defensive fighter, the one blocking, and then if the fighter blocking is effective with clean punches, then some judges give it to the fighter blocking, because even though they were doing damage, he was blocking a lot of them. But when he landed some clean shots. I thought he landed some I think he's the one that landed more clean shots. But the ones he was blocking, they were effective too. So we can't say it was, like I said, I can't argue robbery, but
just
it was
multiple
close.
swing
Yeah,
rounds in a fight like that.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
kind of one of the things that you look for in a big fight is you don't know who wins until the last second. Literally, no one knew.
And I think that made the difference too. Thinking about it, at the end, maybe those last 3 rounds is probably what made the difference.
Rematch out here in Las Vegas. If we did have a fight on the West Coast, do you think that that is judged differently? You think there's a different outcome, or?
Look, I think it'll be a great fight. I think if they do have a rematch, especially in Vegas, if we see the same fight again, I think this time it will go to Bivol. Just the way the judges are seeing. You see, the judges are also human beings. The judges are also hearing, reading, everything. A lot of boxing people thinking Bivol won. So they hear all that. So in a rematch, any close round might go to Bivol. That's everybody. They're all
set
human
up a
too.
rubber match.
Exactly. And they
Do you think we need to have a rematch out of what you saw?
Oh, definitely. I think a rematch is what should happen immediately. There's other fights out there too. The winner of Benavidez versus Morrell would be great to fight.
Goodness gracious.
To fight Beterbiev, but I think Bivol deserves a rematch, and I think the boxing world also does. We should see a rematch, and it'll be another great fight.
After watching the Bivol performance, what are some of the takeaways that you, as a coach, can look at and say, you know what, man, if he cleaned this up and that up, he'd have a better chance of winning straight away?
I think the last 3 rounds could have been a little more aggressive, throw a little more combinations instead of just focusing on your deep on blocking and defending yourself. Let your hands go a little more. I'd seen a lot of success when he actually. When Beterbiev was backing up, when he was backing off, I think Bivol had really success with some good combinations, trying to back him up. I don't know if it was conditioning. He should have trained very hard for this fight, so I don't think it was conditioning. I think it was just maybe the respect, maybe so many punches that's why he was backing up, or maybe he thought he was way ahead on the scorecards and thought the fight was already. He had already, he was clearly winning, and that's why he decided to move around and fight very defensive and blocking most of the punches. I think if he pushes himself a little more to try to finish a little bit stronger in the last 3 rounds, maybe that'll be the difference.
And when we talk about Bivol, naturally the name always linked to him is Canelo Alvarez, kind of waiting in the wings. You got David Benavidez, like you mentioned before. What do you think happens next, provided that there may not be a rematch? I heard you guys in there having a real interesting conversation about Canelo versus Beterbiev. What do you think happens in that fight if they did go together?
Look, I think if the fight happens, it won't be anytime soon. I think they'll probably go with a rematch. Then the winner fights the winner of Morrell, Benavidez. So we're talking a year and a half from now. I think he'll, Beterbiev will be 41. Canelo might take a chance and say I want to fight him, because Canelo's a very strong fighter. Takes a great punch. I think I've heard from a lot of people that he's probably got the best chin in boxing right now.
Jim Lampley told us that a couple weeks ago.
Canelo doesn't get hurt. He takes punches very well. He got hit by Triple G with very, very hard punches and took him like nothing. So he does take a good punch. So I think a year from now, when Beterbiev is looking towards 41, that's probably a good time for Canelo to say, you know what, I want to fight him. You never know. Fighters at that age could age from one fight to another. Especially a year later, 2 fights from now, could be the right moment for Canelo.
2 young guys getting ready to fight. You mentioned it earlier, Benavidez and Morrell, the battle of the Davids. Talk to us about that fight. What do you think about that matchup?
That's going to be a great fight too. That's going to be another one that the boxing world is going to be waiting for, just like we were waiting for Bivol versus Beterbiev. I think that's another one. It's going to be. I think this one's going to be just as good or even better. Can't wait for that one.
When we talk about those 2 guys matching up, you've got the range of both fighters. You think we got an inside fight coming, an outside kind of chess match?
Man, honestly, whatever we get, I think it's gonna be exciting. But I think it's gonna be an inside fight. I think it's gonna be a war. I think it's gonna be a fight that's gonna have everybody screaming and on their feet, jumping, because there's gonna be a fight full of action.